About typical AFC, NFC, just NFL football playoff pictures. Who do you think of as winning your division? Let's say the AFC North. Probably the Ravens this year, especially with how good they've looked, even though they are only 2-1, because they couldn't win against a Dolphins team that was down by 21. Um, who else do you think of division winners? You probably think the Titans or Colts in the AFC South. You probably think, I think the AFC East. Probably think of the AFC East as like probably the Bills or whatever division they're in. And then you get the West with the Broncos, and you typically think as the Chiefs. But what this season has showed us by far is who can step up. Such as the Colts, they beat the Chiefs this week. They're 1-1. The Browns, they have showed that they can beat some pretty good teams out, even though they lost to the Jets. Final minute. It's also shown us that nobody's out of contention. Well, unless you're a Raiders fan because your team has not won a game. It's not Adam's fault. Trust me. It's probably your play calling or something like that. You can figure out these things if you're in the NFL. Let's just say, like the Panthers, they've only won a game and they barely beat the Saints. I don't know if I'd say barely there. Barely as in like 8 points. I mean, that's a one-score game if you think about it, because all you have to do is score a touchdown, then you could score a 2-point conversion. You tie it up then. It would have been interesting to see what the Saints could have done if Winston had not sucked very badly. I will admit one thing, though. What's impressive to me is the Dolphins are 3-0, and the Dolphins usually suck. I mean, Tua has shown that if you give him some good targets, he is going to be there. He showed that against the Ravens. He threw for 6 touchdowns. Of course, those 2 interceptions don't really help his season stats. Of course, we got the Bills, Josh Allen. Were undefeated until they lost to the Dolphins by 2. They kept it close most of the game, actually. Tua came in back with a head injury, which should have been in concussion protocol. Therefore, it should have been Teddy Bridgewater taking over for him, but Teddy Bridgewater only played like 2 minutes, and he probably ended the ball off because I didn't see any passing stats for him. He should have been in the rest of the game. It's weird to think that this year is different. Like, who would have thought this year that the Raiders with Adams, they got Devontae Adams from the Packers, you'd think that they would be a good team. They're not a good team right now. Until they can beat somebody, they're not good. Let's look at Jacksonville. They just beat the Chargers 38-10 with Justin Herbert, and of course Justin Herbert was injured, and Chase Daniels, their backup, should have probably started. They probably would have had a better chance if they put Josh Daniels in. Of course, I think he might have, I don't know, as the neighbors must be mowing or something, because obviously you can hear him. How about them, Kansas City Chiefs in Indianapolis, 20-0. I'm just going to recap what, it's easy to recap, so I'm going to start out with some games. Start out with the 1 o'clock games, or, I'll just go in a random order. I've already said the Chiefs lost to the Colts. It was 20-17. Matt Ryan led them on a good game-winning drive. And the rookie tight end Woods out of Virginia actually caught 2 touchdowns. Of course, he only had 13 yards. 2 receptions, 13 yards, 2 touchdowns. Doesn't matter how many yards you get. It matters what you do in the game, all right? You could have 2 yards and you could still have 2 touchdowns because it could just be from 1 yard out or something. You never know. Patrick Mahomes did not look like MVP-worthy material against the Colts. He actually threw a pick at the end, which Kansas City was moving down the field. They probably would have tied the game up to overtime if it wasn't for Stephon Gilmore at the last minute knocking the ball away. Let's talk about what else. Let's talk about the Bengals and Jets. The Bengals finally got a win. I'm not surprised, honestly. Joe Flacco had been playing at a pretty decent rate as of late, because Jets aren't that bad this year. Now, the question is, if Zach Wilson does come back soon, are they going to start him? Or are they going to stick with Flacco? Or maybe even potentially find a new quarterback? Because, I mean, you never know. Joe Flacco, obviously being a veteran, he's won a Super Bowl before against, I think it was the Niners, and it was actually Jim Harbaugh and John Harbaugh or whoever, but it was the Harbaugh brothers. Harbaugh brothers obviously aren't. They haven't lived up to their name. One of them is a Michigan coach. I think that's Jim Harbaugh. He likes to pick his nose and eat it. Obviously, you saw that in one game last year or a couple of years ago. He did lead his team to the college football playoffs, which, interesting enough, they get crushed by I think it was Georgia, because Bama played Cincinnati. Speaking of Cincinnati Bengals, they played amazing. Joe Burrow looked better. Of course, they're only 1-2, and it's only week 3, week 4 next week. I don't think that the Bengals are going to win their division this year. It's going to be the Ravens and maybe the Browns even sneaking their way into a wild card spot. I think the Browns are actually decent this year. They did lose to the Jets, but the Jets, of course, being a better team than they were last year, clearly, with Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco threw for 4 touchdowns in that game, actually. Kind of recapping what I can, because I haven't been on this channel since 2 months. You know, I'm going to take a break, catch my breath, get a drink, probably. Have the water back there, and you guys won't see it because I'm just going to pause the recording, and then I'll come back and be Betty. I'm not sure why I said Betty. You know, sometimes I say real weird things, so I'm going to go do that real fast. You know something that's shocking? Joe Flacco almost has 1,000 yards. You know, I mean, he only has 5 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. But he is washed, and he's supposed to be an old man that is a solid backup, at least, at best. You know, he did throw 2 picks. It's not the best, obviously. Now, he probably won't be fortunately, he probably will not be a Hall of Fame quarterback. But if he can maybe play better than what he did, then I probably would assume he'd probably get some talks. I think he has the most passing yards. I'm not sure, but I don't know. I'm gonna fact check that real fast. Joe Burrow. He has more than Joe Burrow. Oh, great. I have to check the whole NFL. I could just search it up here. Who has the most passing yards in the NFL? Josh Allen. 1,000. Oh, okay, so he's not the leader. Alright, let's see your Joe. Alright. So I'm just gonna read off a list, actually. Or should I wait? No. Let's just wrap up this, and I'll make another video and post tomorrow. Premiere for tomorrow. You'll probably see this Monday, September 26th, 2022. You might see that video tomorrow. And if you don't, you'll probably see it Wednesday, September 27th or 28th. 28th is Wednesday, 27th is Tuesday, or tomorrow, however you want to address it. Phew. I'll go along the lines for you guys. And I'll read off, like, some notes. Alright, so we'll just screw that for now. Let me just go back real fast. And it's actually stuck. So the Dolphins do improve, and they're actually winning their division, the AFC East. Only undefeated team, I think, in the AFC. Yeah, they're the only undefeated team in the AFC still. I mean, that's incredible. They're really good this year. The Bills are saying it. Jets, Flacco's team currently. I think they're better than last year because they have Wilson and they got all these other good players. Obviously they're probably gonna miss the playoffs. I'd assume at 1-2. Of course, it's too early to tell because the Patriots are also 1-2, and I mean, Patriots are really good. They lost to, who did they lose to this week? I think it was Patriots. They lost to the Ravens. That's right. The Ravens looked really good. 37-26 win there. Let's talk about the Raiders. They haven't won a game. Okay, they're the only team without a win. Well, you count a tie as a win. They're the only team that hasn't won a game per se, because the Texans tied a game. Of course, the Titans 1-2. They finally got the first win. It wasn't pretty. It was a 8-point win to the Raiders. It's always fun. The Jaguars leading the division. They have 84 points for and only 38 points against. That is incredible. Alright. So if you go to like Buffalo's, they have 91 points for and 38 points against. I mean, they're hanging it with the big dogs. That's for sure. Chiefs, they lost to the Colts. Broncos got an ugly 11-10 win. Melvin Gordon did rush in a touchdown. I think that actually sealed. Yeah, it did seal it. Did seal it with like 3 or 4 minutes ago. They did win it 11-10 against Jimmy G. I honestly thought Jimmy G would do better. Apparently not. Chargers, of course, lost to the Jags. I think I've talked about all these AFC teams really. Steelers lost to the Browns, obviously. It wasn't a bad loss. So in the NFC, there is two teams that are undefeated, and they go by the names the Eagles and the Giants. As of record this, the Giants are 2-0, and maybe they'll beat the Cowboys and move to 3-0. Which, in case they still want to be first in their division, because I'm pretty sure they go points for and points against. Cowboys they're decent. Okay, Washington, I see you. The Rams, they won against the Cardinals. It wasn't pretty. Niners, of course, had that ugly loss. The Cardinals, of course, they lost to the Rams. Kyler Murray sucked. Seattle, they did lose. They lost to the Falcons. That's right. The Falcons actually won a game. You know what's impressive? The NFC North is close. I think it's the closest division in football currently, other than the NFC North, because, well, not the NFC East, because there's 3 teams that they have the identical record, because Vikings are 2-1, they lead the division. Packers, they are 2-1, they are second in their division, and the Bears are 2-1, even though Fields has not looked that great. Lions, of course, are 1-2. They beat the Commanders last week, as of recording this. Buccaneers lost an ugly one to the Packers, 14-12. I mean, Tom Brady really did try. At the end, he scored a touchdown. Panthers got their first win of the season against the Saints. Wasn't a pretty one, 22-14. Saints lost to the Panthers. Falcons obviously beat the Seattle Seahawks. And the Vikings won against, I don't know who it was, the Lions. That's right. Notable injuries include Tua Tagovailoa. He did go out for a bit. Dalvin Cook, David Montgomery. We also do have Stephon Gilmore. He was out for a bit. Pretty sure we had, I don't remember, but there was a lot of injuries this past week, so make sure to stay safe and make sure your favorite team is going to win your division, or else you're going to be the laughingstock of your fantasy. Because I'm 0-2 in fantasy. Okay, I'm gonna make a separate video. See you guys later. Goodbye.